are here with Super Attorney Kevin Hughey of Hughey Phillips LLP. Hello there, Aaron. Good morning.
Hi, how's everybody?
What's up?
Hi, Cindy Betty.
Dummy.
Hey.
Bad.
Okay. So, a couple of years ago, my husband's grandmother helped us to get a house. Like, she got the loan, she bought it. She never lived in the house. We've been making all the payments. So what we've been trying to do is prove to the loan company that we are the rightful owners. But we keep sending them information, and they keep telling us that it's not enough, not enough. So I was wondering, what do we need to do to prove to them that we are the rightful owners?
Buy out from grandma and get an assignment.
I'm sorry?
Buy out from grandma and get an assignment from her to you.
So there is a money layout that has to occur there.
Yeah, and first of all, the loan company doesn't want to make the changes. Grandma qualified. Grandma's the one they approved. They want grandma on the hook. They don't want to, typically assignments aren't in their best interest because they don't really know who you are and they don't want to vet you. They've got somebody, they want to keep that somebody. And oftentimes they'll add somebody rather than assign.
I'm just curious, like, when they say it's not enough, what do they tell you is enough? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd want to follow up and go, well, what I'm sending you isn't enough. So could you be specific as what is enough?
Phone number is 888-989-9011. You can also email us like Mel did.
Hey, Mel.
Says, when I first heard Rad would have a lawyer on, I figured I'll skip that segment. Catch up later. However, Kevin's voice is so easy to listen to, and you guys talk about stuff I'd never think of, so needless to say, I now devotedly listen every time Kevin is featured.
Aww.
Secretly, I would like to meet him because he sounds like such a fascinating individual, and that voice.
Oh, hey.
Did they attach pictures?
Just an email. I mean, you can Google her, right? Yeah, they don't seem to understand how this whole radio flirting thing
creepy
works.
Google.
I'm sure Kevin has better ways of finding out information. I'm using the mainstream one. By the way, thank you to Kevin and Hughey Phillips LLP for those VIP weekend aftershock tickets.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Our listener Chad, I think he's written us 3 times with updates and reports on what an amazing weekend he had.
So excited.
Thank you for that. And with your generosity, we always like to mention whatever you're doing next. Presenting sponsor of Big Brothers Big Sisters 55th anniversary celebration end of this month. It's October 25th at the Elks Tower Event Center. You say you've been and you think I've been?
I think so. It's on 11th and J.
Oh, yeah, sure. Now I know.
Tall,
downtown?
That one, of course.
I used to live on J Street.
It's a nice event.
No, I
There
didn't. It was D Street. Never mind.
Multiple floors, outdoor area, and things like that. It's a popular place for receptions, but yeah, it'll be a nice event.
Tickets are still available. It's a cocktail attire, and the MC is one of our old school media buddies, Monica Woods.
Oh my God, Monica Woods!
She's been a weather girl forever in town. We know Monica
that's
well.
Amazing.
So that's going to be a fun time, and tickets are available. If you just go to, if you Google Big Brothers Big Sisters Sacramento area, go to their events. It'll come up, and Hughey Phillips LLP are the presenting sponsors.
And you're going?
Yes. I believe you actually have in writing, which I know matters to you as a lawyer, an RSVP from my wife and me. We will be there.
All right.
Did you say it looked like a house from the outside, or it's
the building?
Nice like that? Or no, it's a building.
It's a tall building.
It's a tall building. Because you know what I was thinking of when he said you've
windows.
been there.
Jesus, you people.
What do
you mean, you people? 921 11th Street.
When he said you've been there and bits and pieces of what he was describing, I thought it was like when we used to be in the same building as the radio stations that we're on, and we'd have to go to the Christmas parties. There was always one. Remember? Okay, that's what I was thinking of. It was always terrible. Oh my God, it was served the worst food ever.
Phone number is 888-989-9011. You can email us, red@radradio.com. This is from Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Says, I have looked everywhere online for California's law on emotional support animals. I notified my landlord before we moved in that I would be getting one. I sent him the letter from my therapist with my application. He is trying to restrict the breed that I can get, and he is trying to make me pay a deposit. From what I read, they aren't allowed to do that, but I don't know if that is actually true. Do you know where I can find the actual laws? Well, she's not even asking necessarily for free legal advice. She just wants to know, how the hell do I find this? Apparently, Google is failing her terribly.
The Google knows all, so I'm not sure why she can't find it. But I don't know the laws off the top of my head. That's a squishy area. I mean, that takes me back to when I worked in San Francisco, where I had a case, somebody wanted a plant to be, no joke, as their emotional support living creature.
Get out of my courtroom.
My understanding is that a landlord can require a deposit. It's just you're allowed to have the animal no matter what.
Right. They're not allowed to turn you away, maybe, but they can require the deposit because the animal could do some type of damage. And the laws have changed dramatically. Since you were in San Francisco, they keep expanding the definition.
Oh, they probably allow everything.
Yeah, I would know what the situation is now.
Yeah. Hello there, Chris. Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, go ahead.
I got a question. It's kind of family law, but my wife and I, we're married 10 years, and we have our oldest is my stepdaughter. And my wife and I were kind of sitting around talking because we have a 5-year-old now together, is if something was to happen to her and she was to die, essentially, what rights do I have as far as keeping the girls together, because my oldest is my stepdaughter?
That's a tough one because there are siblings' rights laws out there, but they don't trump otherwise lawful rights to the parents may have. So my first question is the biological father around? If so, then I would try to seek some sort of rescission or waiver of parental rights from him, such that the
now,
wife, right?
While
oh, yeah,
the wife's alive.
Right, yeah, right now. Then, as the stepfather, I would go try to get guardianship or parental rights over the stepdaughter, such that, as far as the law is concerned, at that point, you would be the person responsible entirely for the older daughter.
If the dad's not involved.
Right. If he's alive, then get an assignment or waiver of parental rights, right, a release.
Yeah.
And then the stepfather should seek guardianship.
I mean, yeah, the way I'm feeling, it's not legal. Obviously, I don't know the laws, but like, I hope that's the case. I don't know. I find that kind of rude for the actual, like, if the father is involved, right, and totally participating in this kid's life, and they're thinking, how do I keep them together? That's rude. That's his kid. Oh, my God.
Well, keep in mind, the whole question was based on the woman dying, too. I mean, it's a very macabre question.
I mean,
Yeah, what's his plan?
Yeah, right?
What's his plan?
What's his heading?
What's her life insurance?
We had this question from a name withheld.
Hi, person.
She says, I had a private investigator calling looking for my biological father. A family member on his side in Napa has passed and left their estate/inheritance to my dad. However, my dad, knowing him, is just going to let the state of California take it because he is hooked on meth. Can I make a claim on it if he doesn't? Follow all that?
If he's hooked on meth, he'll take the estate. I mean, make no mistake about that.
Right.
Jeez. Good Lord.
God.
That's the ticket.
Tweaker will stay up for days on end working on that one.
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
God.
I mean, I don't know. I would need more facts. There would have to be some sort. First of all, there would have to be an intestate succession
Oh, yeah.
string from the daughter to the
What
dad.
was that word?
Intestate.
Don't make me say it again.
I got to see my doctor today. He's going to do that to me.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, time for an intestate succession.
Hopefully, yes, small fingers.
Ugh, and warm.
Yeah. And it's a kind, compassionate
Why are
person.
both your hands on my shoulders?
It's better than just one hand on your shoulder. So if there weren't other children involved, and first of all, if it's the grandfather, if her father has siblings, and if the father's out of the picture, it would go to the siblings, not down to that father's children. Makes sense. It gets pretty complicated, but there's a formula, right? So it goes down to the kids. How many kids are there? It gets dispersed. If there's only one kid, that it goes down to that kid's kids. That also assumes that there is no written plan. And it sounds like if there was an estate plan here, then the plan will say who it goes to next.
Next email is from Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Now, this could go either direction with Kevin. You might get a lecture, or you might get an answer. It says, my question is about law school.
Good God.
Okay. I'm taking my LSAT, and I'm going to be applying to law schools over the next few months. I'm stuck between trying to go to a higher-ranked school that's more expensive or to a lower-ranked school that will have a better chance for scholarships and be generally less expensive. My thought is that a better school would help me get a better job after graduation, but that's just an idea I have. Any advice is appreciated. There it comes.
I'm trying to decide which would be showed up this morning.
Don't go as any advice. I can only hear that lecture come.
Yeah, we'll skip that part.
Okay.
Don't you have to go to law school to be a lawyer?
No, surprisingly you don't.
Oh,
Kim
wow.
Go
Kardashian.
the old school
yeah.
like apprentice. And I know somebody who's doing that. I know the person who is the mentor.
That's the cheaper way.
Well, let's see how far he gets. Like I said, I know the mentor. So, generally speaking, going to the better or the more reputable schools will get more doors opened because people are, loyal to their alma maters, and they'll see that you went to a good school and think you must be smart, and so therefore your resume goes to the top of the pile. Lower ranked schools or less reputable schools will not get that same sort of consideration. So, but the financial part of it is an issue. Early on, it's a matter of getting those doors opened. So do you want your resume at the top or the bottom?
Does part of that also play into where you ultimately want to practice law? Because as you're mentioning, like, better ranked schools, like, I mean, everybody knows certain ranked schools, Harvard and Princeton.
Yeah.
But there are also, sometimes there are schools within an area where a lot of lawyers wind up working. Like in this area, there's a school called McGeorge where a lot of lawyers graduated from McGeorge and they're practicing in Sacramento. And it seems like there's some type of camaraderie with people that have. So could that be part of her decision as well, depending on where she wants to go?
Yeah, absolutely, especially with private schools in certain locales. And McGeorge also has a popular governmental affairs program. And I knew people. I went there, and people came from all around just to participate in that program. This is an additional certificate that went with your law degree. So there are schools that can offer certain things that others don't. For instance, an LLM, there's a master's in law that most people don't know about. All schools don't offer that. So, and there are some schools that you can get a dual master's and law degree at the same time.
That's a lot of school. God, man.
Thank God I only got into one.
Hello there, David. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, go ahead.
So I hired an attorney in January to help clear up some expungements. One was from last year. I got a contractor without a contractor's license, but the other was about 10 years ago. The attorney was did not communicate well with me. It finally got him to give me a court date in July. The first court date came. He said that I was not on the docket, but he didn't tell me this for about 10 days after my original court date. And then he told me I had a new court date. And then when the second court date came around, he told me I got denied for expungement. And then based on that, there was not enough, there was no proof to show reasonable cause, but he didn't show up to either court date at all. And he had another attorney step in. I spoke with the other attorney, and he told me that my attorney had absolutely no and nothing prepared to show reasonable cause, and that's why I got denied. I contacted my attorney to ask for a refund on my retainer, but he's refusing, saying he's not going to return anything. And I just wanted to know what my course of action would be.
All right, I mean that's a fair question. If we take him at his word, and this lawyer is that bad, how do you fight a bad attorney?
God.
There is one good thing that the state bar can do. Yeah, here we go.
Oh boy.
State bar, an otherwise completely inept and worthless organization that just robs both the public, the taxpayers, and the lawyers. By the way, the bar got another legislative increase. Thanks, Governor signed that, and now attorneys' dues were doubled each year. But yeah, this organization that's otherwise worthless can lobby and support causes that the attorneys don't support, but they can use your money for whatever they want. Whew. All right, so question.
Contact the state bar.
I would absolutely.
That's the one thing they do well, is what you're saying.
They like to prosecute lawyers for anything they can think of. Yeah, they'll go back 10 years and dig up something that has nothing to do with anything, and then hang the attorney's license up for years.
Oh, wow.
It's not that I have one of those working for me, but yeah, they're worthless human beings who practice that. There is a state bar court within the state bar that most people don't even know about. Only lawyers who get caught up in it. They have little courtrooms, and they do their whole adjudicative thing. There are prosecutors.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, they like to play law quite a lot.
Do the people at the state bar hang out with the people of the DMV?
Rob's in tears right now. Yeah, they lunch together. Yes, they do.
But so they take y'all's money, but they also want to catch
y'all's
you
too.
guys.
I mean, taxpayer money. Who do you think supports? And someone should look at the audits that have happened too, where they found the state bar just squandered taxpayer resources, including like a $10 million building in LA. By the way, in San Francisco, they're at 180 Howard, prime office space. Why they're there, I don't know, but someone should look into that. Woo, back to the question. Yeah, I would. If there's one thing I'm about, it's about weeding out people like that. That lawyer has no business practicing law. I don't care if he's done it once before. That's inexcusable. The one thing that will get the bar's attention is money. Lawyers who otherwise take money that they shouldn't. I'm assuming it's pretty easy to make a complaint. Go to the state bar website or call somebody. And I mean, that lawyer has no business doing what he's doing.
Now, is this in any? Because if this doesn't happen to be someone from California, if they're in Nevada, is it the same thing? They're all run the same way.
No. So Nevada must have its own state bar.
No. I mean, are they just as terrible, but they will love to help?
I don't know. I only know that how terrible California's is. I don't want to impugn the state bar of other states. But one thing I would do is, as I mentioned earlier, client files are client property. So I would have him call that other lawyer and say, give me my files, because they belong to him, and those files will show what he was billed for, the work that was done, and that sort of thing. But I would crucify that lawyer.
Sound commanding, okay, letter writer, if you make that call. I'm not saying you sounded wimpy, but you sounded sad, which you should.
Show up unannounced.
This is a bummer, but be firm.
And short-winded. Have notes.
No.
This is an email from Please Call Me Shirley.
Hey, Shirley.
Says, I have a question for Kevin. Do you work with union issues? And if not, can you direct me to a law firm that does?
I hate unions.
Okay, next question is from Laura. I have a question for Kevin Hughey. I work for a big box store, and they eliminated my position. They gave me the option to move to another position or take a severance package. I decided to take the severance, though they wanted me to stay. I asked my immediate supervisor on October 1st for the paperwork. My last day was the 3rd. I still haven't received my severance package. The manager says our district HR manager is on leave, and the manager isn't sure how to figure out the figure I am to receive. Is there a time period they have to have my package ready for me?
Yeah, generally. I mean, if you take a severance package, that's a deal. You've made a deal with your employer. And if there wasn't a deadline agreed upon, for instance, if you're fired, you're supposed to have your paycheck the day you're fired. Right now, they're not performing whatever their side of the deal is because you don't have information, you don't have pay. I would suggest that you don't have a deal. I would call them and say the deal's off. I want my job back, or I want to get paid right now.
We got this note from one of our 83 Heidis that
Hi,
writes,
Heidi.
says, I love it when Kevin beats up the state bar. Don't encourage him.
Love them.
Hello, John. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi.
Morning.
Hey, so last month I came home to my apartment flooded. The apartment maintenance was doing maintenance on a water line for several months, shutting it off and on, repairing it. The leak never got fixed. And then finally they created a water hammer in their old apartments, and the upstairs unit, the toilet valve blew, and all that water unfortunately ended up in our apartment, and it was just big whole bubbles hanging from the ceiling, dripping on our beds, our clothes.
Oh my God.
We lost a lot of stuff, and that night, it was after hours. There was no one on site, so I called the emergency line. They got maintenance over. We called the fire department. They came over. They said that we couldn't stay there for the time being because it was uninhabitable.
Did you have somewhere to
So the
go?
next- Yeah, so the next day, we tried getting a hold of them. We called them about a dozen times. We left like eight or nine messages. No one was getting back to us. We didn't know what to do. So we went to legal services at the courthouse, and they referred us to City Hall. So we went to City Hall. Code enforcement called them and made them put us up in a hotel. So that's been 3 weeks now. We're finally getting out of the hotel this week. But they want to just give us $1,000 for moving expenses. And I lost 4 days of work. I think my girlfriend missed about 3 days of work. I don't know if we should settle for the moving for $1,000 or if we should go to court. But on top of that, they wanted to move us in there the next week. And I went in that apartment, and all the bubbles that were hanging from the ceiling, they had just scraped them off, and they had just puttied them. So they were going to move us in there with wet drywall, wet sheetrock. So I got city code in there, and they tested the walls. I guess the moisture is only supposed to be 19%, and it was way over that. So they condemned the building, and they're making them get permits now, and it's taking a longer process. So now they're moving us into an apartment.
They're moving you in where?
To another apartment complex, one that they manage, a different place.
Oh, God.
What about your stuff? I mean, like, some of it's been damaged. Are they?
So I have renter's insurance. So the renter's insurance is taking care of that stuff, most of it at least. We'll see how much I get because they had to have two companies come out, and they're trying to clean most of it, and they have to get rid of a lot of it.
So there's a lot of potential negligence, though, here that's going on, and they're offering him this settlement, which sounds like shut-up money and that kind of thing, and he's wondering, should I just do it, and just kind of cut through some of this.
Yeah, it's all an easy question. First of all, I'm sorry to hear it. That's a horrible situation. But generally speaking, the landlord is obligated, rather, to reimburse you or pay for all of the damage done, including the lost work time. So long as you, the tenant, didn't have anything to do with what occurred, it's the landlord's responsibility. The one thing that leaps out at me, I would look at the renter's insurance to see if somehow there's a claim that they not only have to cover the damage to your property, but also the lost work time. There might be a clause in there that says you are covered for displacement. Displacement means you're out. Well, if you're out, that covers, having to board your animals, having to, take the kids to a different school or daycare, whatever it is. But all of that stuff should be covered. and I would not take the $1,000. Absolutely not. I'm also glad to hear code enforcement did their job. That's not common, but that's fantastic that they stepped in. This is a situation where I would say go talk to a lawyer, because there's a lot that happened here, and $1,000 doesn't remotely cover it.
No, there's stuff, and then moving is more than that. Even if you're moving stuff yourself. Or was that like, we're going to move you to an apartment and here's $1,000?
That's what it sounded like to me.
Is that what? Okay.
Yeah, and you might want to, if you're moving into another property that they manage, the deal might be we don't pay rent for 6 months. Maybe they don't have to pay you cash for everything, but you make some sort of deal with them that you get to live for free as compensation for everything that happened.
And sometimes you just need somebody like a lawyer who's actually making that negotiation. A lot of people hear like, "Oh my God, it's going to go on forever. I'm going to wind up in court." No, it can be settled quickly by somebody who knows what they're doing and has the authority.
And some think it's nice. Oh, well, they set you up in a hotel and they're paying for it. Yeah. I mean, that's the least they could do.
Right.
But there's still other garbage here for them to do.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. This is Kevin Hughey from Hughey Phillips LLP.
Good to see everyone.
Remember, when you Google him, it's Hughey Phillips Law, and it's Hughey Phillips LLP online. And he'll be back. You can email us with your questions for Kevin Hughey, Hughey Phillips LLP, RAD@radradio.com.